I mean, this is obviously a story that has stunned the corporate world and the financial industry, which lost a key executive yesterday in Wesley LePatner, who was killed at Blackstone. Right now, the latest from the NYPD is they're trying to piece together the journey of the gunman from Nevada to here, where he got the parts of the gun, who supplied them, how he was able to carry this off, and they really want to look to see if there are any other people involved that they can be questioning and maybe pursuing charges against.
My understanding is that he had a concealed carry permit in Nevada. Would the type of weapon that was used in this be part of a concealed carry permit?
I'm not sure. I'm not a guns expert, but
like these are not weapons that are allowed in New York City. This type of
no,
weapon.
and these kinds of events very rarely happen in New York City. That's something to, New York gets a bad rep, but this is the worst mass shooting event in 25 years in New York City in terms of the amount of people killed. These things don't really happen here. In terms of a random event where people don't know each other, because we do have strong gun laws here, but it's stunning in many fronts, and it actually goes to what a lot of the companies were telling us, that Matt's going to talk about, which is like it feels a little helpless in terms of what you could have really done to avoid this situation when you're confronted with that kind of a weapon. Your training only goes so far,
right?
And your security guards can only do so much.
Matt, I can't even, and come on in, the conversations that we've had certainly in the newsroom from the minute we all walked in this morning, our makeup room, like just people talking about, all right, kind of seeing how a scenario could play out, we and probably many people around the city in their own offices. What are you hearing from the security teams about what we can do? We live in an environment where we have badges and lots of security, and a lot of security at different points as you come into Bloomberg offices. But what are the security experts saying in terms of what more can be done to make sure people are kept secure?
I mean, I've talked to about half a dozen corporate security officers over the past 24 hours, Carol. And I mean, one thing they did raise to me is that, yes, you could do a lot inside your building, but there's also things you could do even outside your building. One gentleman suggested to me that, one idea is to have armed plainclothes patrolmen outside in the outside the lobby, and we all saw the picture of that of the shooter just strolling right up to the lobby. Perhaps if you had people outside, and again, I want to make clear, we don't know that Rudin did or did not, the landlord did or did not have those types of security people outside the building. But we've all seen this person, just sort of stroll right in. So that's one thing you can do. But I mean, at the end of the day, when someone enters a building with a high-powered assault rifle, there's not a lot you can do. You essentially go into survival mode. And the question here for a lot of corporations, Carol, is, what is the trade-off? It's security versus cost. It's security versus convenience. Nobody wants their office to look like a jail or, a mental institution, with high bollards and huge turnstiles. And, people want offices to be welcoming. So companies sort of have to figure out what's the trade-off, what's the return on investment here for what we're spending, what are we willing to put up with from a convenience and ease point of view for our employees.
Matt, sadly, this sounds like the exact conversation we have when we talk about school shootings, in the wake of school shootings, and the conversations about fortifying schools rather than attacking this problem from where it begins, which I think many people would argue has to do with accessibility to firearms. Does it feel like to you, in the world that we live in the US, because of the widespread availability of firearms, the only thing we can do is protect ourselves rather than make these things less available to people?
Well, yeah, I mean, in my conversations, Tim, I didn't hear a lot of chatter about, solutions on the legislative or political side. It was all on the, let's say, the tactical side or the corporate policy side. We have to do a new risk assessment. We're going to have to, train up our employees again, or we're going to have to tighten restrictions on elevator access. A key question was, how this gentleman got up to the 33rd floor. Did he just sort of, hop into an elevator that was already open? Why weren't they locked down? Why weren't they all stuck in the lobby? So yeah, I'm not hearing a lot of questions. And given the political environment right now, I don't think that conversation is going to go very far in terms of looking at root causes here, or what a role guns play. It's a lot of companies now figuring out, okay, what can we do here? Do we need to do some new and different things? Can we pay for them? And what are our employees willing to put up with? And I think employees today are going to be willing to put up with a little bit more than they were 24 hours ago.
Come on in, Katya.
I want to say, in the case of what happened yesterday, it's kind of like all the worst nightmares kind of combined in terms of like the speed at which it happened. Apparently, the gunman walked in and actually walked past the police officer, then only realized, turned around and shot and killed him. Then he sprayed the lobby with bullets and killed Wesley LePatner in the lobby, and shot another man, an NFL employee, and then shot and killed the not armed security guard in front of the elevators. And you have to it's all speculation, but maybe he would have been the one who could have stopped the elevator from going up. And it's one of those things. I just think it's hard to imagine these things happening until they happen, and then you start to assess, okay, what could we have done differently, or what kind of protocols could be in place for us.
Right.